Albert Sporting Goods is here to outfit your team, both on and off the field. Since 1980, Albert Sporting Goods has serviced schools, clubs, and businesses throughout Ohio. For all of your uniform, spirit wear, and equipment needs, make it Albert Sporting Goods. Order online now at albertsportinggoods.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
St. Mary's Legion Post 323, veterans working for veterans and the future of our country. The St. Mary's Legion Post 323 supports veterans programs such as Gifts for Yanks, Support the Troops, Comfort Warriors, Blood Donor, POW MIA programs, as well as children and youth programs. The St. Mary's Legion Post 323 also donates thousands of dollars each year to local summer programs such as Boys State, Girls State, scholarships in education, Boy Scouts, oratorical, and shooting sports. St. Mary's Legion Post 323, remembering the past, living the present, and working for the future. St. Mary's Eagles 767 is dedicated to promoting the general welfare of the citizens of St. Mary's by giving special attention to public improvements. They are also committed to helping meet the public needs and all that relates to the betterment, convenience, and comforts of the citizens of St. Mary's. For more information on how you can become a member, call 419-394-3257 or stop in during business hours at 404 East Spring Street in St. Mary's. St. Mary's Eagles 767, people helping people. Midnet Media is passionate about helping make their clients be successful. Marketing your business has never been more complicated than it is today. Websites, branding, search engines, social media, print email campaigns, and the list goes on and on. Midnet Media is a solution-oriented marketing agency with a passion for highlighting what makes your business distinctive. We provide marketing strategies that help tell your unique story. Call 419-628-1340 or check out their website at midnetmedia.com and let them help you tell your story. Midway Trailer Sales is your one-stop for all your trailer needs. Whether you're towing across town or across the country, let Midway Trailer Sales' 23 years of experience put the right trailer behind your vehicle. Midway Trailer Sales is dedicated to delivering the best products to their customers. Midway Trailer Sales, located at 14275 Glenwood, New Knoxville Road in St. Mary's. Stop in and see them or give them a call at 419-394-4408 today. Midway Trailer Sales in St. Mary's. Since 1981, Plus One Professionals has serviced St. Mary's and the surrounding area and are ready to meet your real estate needs. They know the real estate market and can help you. Whether you're moving in, moving out, or around the area, Plus One Professionals are ready and eager to help you sell or buy your new home. They operate with the highest level of professionalism, expertise, and honesty as they help make your real estate dream a reality. Call Plus One Professionals at 419-394-7402 in St. Mary's today. Colder weather is just around the corner, and you want to make sure your family's vehicle is tuned up and ready to go. Raibl Auto Service has been voted the best auto repair center in St. Mary's the last 3 years. And did you know they will pick up and deliver your vehicle for free? Give Raibl Auto Service a call at 419-394-1624 or stop in and see Jeremy at 1610 Salina Road in St. Mary's. Raibl Auto Service in St. Mary's. Give them a call today. Established in 1953, R.J. Burke Insurance Agency has grown into a full-service insurance agency. Looking for auto insurance? R.J. Burke Insurance Agency has you covered. Commercial, business, farm, and home insurance? R.J. Burke Insurance Agency has you covered. Life, motorcycle, or watercraft insurance? R.J. Burke Insurance Agency has you covered. Give R.J. Burke Insurance Agency a call today at 419-394-3381 or stop in at 121 North Wayne Street in St. Mary's for a no-cost, no-obligation review of your current policy. R.J. Burke Insurance Agency in St. Mary's. They've got you covered.
Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Spiece. Welcome to Spiece Chiropractic and Wellness Center. As a family practice, Spiece Chiropractic welcomes in patients of all ages. Whether this is your first time or you've done this before, Dr. Spiece and his compassionate staff are here for you. What makes Spiece Chiropractic unique is their three-tier approach. By using chiropractic care alongside massage therapy and physical therapy, all your healthcare needs will be treated compassionately and comprehensively. Spiece Chiropractic. Make the right choice for your care.
Did you know your child has approximately 1,892 days from the day they are born until they enter kindergarten? What happens on this journey lays the foundation for their school and life success. Consider enrolling your child in an early care or an educational program whose level of quality exceeds Ohio's child care licensing standards. That's TLC Learning Center, the foundation to educational and life success. Call us today.
Welcome to another Rider Nation Station broadcast here from Varsity Lanes. Doug Spencer, Tyler Parent, bringing you Varsity Bowling, boys and girls. We're on tape delay today. Live streaming's not going to work out for us, so it's all tape delay. Tyler, thanks for joining us, and you're going to have to really help explain to this guy and maybe a lot of people who take the time to view what's actually happening here in high school bowling.
Hey, thanks for having me, Doug. Yeah, any questions you have, I'll do my best to answer.
Okay, so I know when we did this last year that it's kind of a two-pronged attack here, that you've got the regular 10-frame bowling, which we're seeing right now with the girls, and it's a kind of an accumulative score based on the top the five bowlers, or is it four bowlers?
So they take all 5 scores from this first game, and they'll add them to the 5 scores from the second game. And after the first 2 regular games with 5 people bowling, there'll be one player up there, and it's called a Baker game. Okay. And you'll have one person throw the first frame, a different person throws the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. And that order will start back over with the 6th frame. And they'll bowl 5 of those and accumulate all the pinfall from the day, and whoever has the most at the end of the day is a winner.
So essentially it's going to be an accumulation of 3 scores. Game 1 of 10 frames, game 2 of 10 frames, and then the Baker game comes into play, and the team total out of that one. Add them all up. Whoever has the highest is going to win the contest. Do I have that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
All righty. Also wanted to announce that this was the senior night celebration for both the boys and the girls. And, 2020, we mentioned with the boys basketball the other night, you always got to prepare that a plug may be pulled, so senior night celebrations get done a little bit earlier. And for the boys, Junior Hurley, Devin Shannon, Carter Monbeck, Jonathan Perez Shinneberry, Brandon Miller, and Zach Steva. And for the girls, Lily Steinberg, Trisha Yale, Kirsten Brotherwood, and Caitlin Shrema. That rounds out the seniors who had their celebration earlier before this contest started between the Rough Riders and Van Wert. So Tyler, as we're looking at this, the Rough Riders are starting on lane 7, but they don't stay on lane 7, correct?
That is correct.
So after they bowl, so for frame 1, they'll stay in 7. Frame 2, they then jump over to 8 and back and forth. Is that the idea?
Yep. So every frame, they will always alternate which lane they bowl on.
There you just saw a Van Wert Cougar bowler roll a strike. And so there you now see Van Wert is over on lane 7. And rolling for St. Mary's there. Picks up, what, a 9? Left 1 pin?
Yep, left the 9 pin.
And again, for the layman viewer here, starts off the very front pins, the 1 pin. And then from left to right, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6. And then the very back row would be 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. Here we go, trying to pick up the spare, and it just curves to the left of it, leaves that one open. And we'll probably rehash a lot of these questions, Tyler, as this bowling is a long sport. It's probably 2 plus 2.5 hours of bowling.
Normal match will run closer to 3 hours.
Closer to 3 hours. So when I do come every once in a while and bowl here at Varsity Lanes, I swing the ball straight back and swing it straight forward and hope that I'm not hitting the gutters. You don't really see that here with the bowlers. It's all with the curve. And what is the concept behind the curve versus just a straight arm bowler like myself?
So throwing a ball straight on, so there's a pocket there. For right-handed people, it's between the 1 pin and the 3 pin. For us lefties, it's between the 1 and the 2. And if you hit that pocket with a straight ball, you're more likely to, that ball's either going to deflect off the head pin and not carry the pins behind it, or you might leave a corner pin like the 7 or the 10. And with that curve, what that allows you to do is that allows you to come in at a different angle, which gives you a better chance of picking up the 8 and 9 pins in the back. The ball will drive through and carry those.
So right there in your television, you see that curve there, leaving 3 pins for St. Mary's. Van Wert's bowler. And is there a strategy of less curve to more curve? I mean, so I've seen some people that, boy, they really run that, if they're right-handed, that right edge of the lane, and then all of a sudden that thing snaps back hard. Is there any type of logic or advantage one way or another?
So depending on what kind of oil pattern's out there for the day, it's better to have a ball that gets long through that pattern and then snaps on the back end. Sometimes, like a typical house shot, I like to throw a nice smooth curve throughout it, nothing big or fancy. Just seems to be more consistent.
So that's interesting there, of the oil pattern, something I've never even thought about. That's something you've got to figure out relatively quickly. Obviously, if this is your home lanes, you've got a little better idea, but you've got a few practice shots before the contest starts, and then you're trying to figure out in the first couple frames what it actually is. And then does it hold true throughout the contest, the oil patterns?
So the oil patterns do change throughout the day. Most lanes nowadays are synthetic lanes. They hold oil a lot better. We still have the old classic wood lanes, and those wood lanes are more prone to change throughout the day, and they also change more with humidity and temperature in the facility as well.
And so you've got to be making adjustments throughout the course of this match then?
Yes, definitely. All day long you'll be making minor adjustments.
And at the high school level, do the bowlers pick that up, or is Coach Jay and Coach Scott helping pick that up as far as what the patterns are?
The coaches are really helpful. If they see you struggling in warm-ups, they do get you on the right path. Some of the bowlers at the high school level they've got enough of a mental game that they understand what's changing and what they need to do to fix it. But sometimes you need a coach to step in and straighten you out.
So it looks like we've got about the first 2 frames in for the girls. So let's go ahead and see what the boys are doing. Going into just about frame 3, it looks like. Is there a strategy of who rolls first versus who rolls 5th?
Typically you want to put your best bowler in the 5th spot, the anchor spot. and you want your second best person at your leadoff position. You want somebody that can get out there and come out strong, get the whole team hyped and ready to bowl good all day long. Typically, you want a good 4 spot too. Your 4 spot is going to set up your 5th man, give him the confidence to go up there and throw a strike in high pressure situations like an end of the game where it's close. Normally, you try to hide 2 and 3 for your 4th and 5th best bowlers. But with only having about 5 warm-up shots before the game, you're really not sure who's going to get hot and figure things out before the others. So
okay, so that leads into this curious mind. Game 1, you've got your lineup 1 through 5. Game 2, if I'm in the 5 spot and I'm just not rolling real well, can you put somebody else into the 5 spot? And can you substitute me out?
So when I was in high school, my freshman year, they had a rule that if you subbed out in the middle of the game, you were done for the day. But at the end of each game, you can make whatever substitutions you want. I think it was about my junior year, they changed that rule. You can sub out in the middle of the game now. So if somebody is struggling through their first 4 or 5 frames, you can bring somebody off the bench to try to save that score and help the team out.
And is it somewhat like a... I guess I'm just going to have to use a scenario. So you sub me out in frame 5. The sub comes in 6, 7, and 8. Can I come back in 9 and 10 then?
No. Once a bowler subbed out for the game, they are not allowed to return for that one.
They're sitting that game.
Yep. But
Okay.
they can come back in to start the next one.
So if a sub gets hot in game 2, high likelihood that when Baker time comes, they may stay in there, but also the coach knows how well they perform, because the pressure a little bit more intense in the Baker games than just in the regular conventional game that we're seeing now?
I think you'll notice when Baker games come around, the team gets a lot more hyped up. They're more energetic. They're out there supporting their team a little harder. In these regular games, you're sitting there thinking a lot about how you're bowling. Your goal is to finish a whole game. You got 10 frames, you're going to throw 10 great shots. So when you don't throw one, you want to make up for it. But in a Baker game, if you mess up, you're probably getting pulled. So you hope the next guy up covers better. But they're always hyping each other up more in the Baker games.
Saw a beautiful strike there by senior Devin Shannon. And we mentioned this the other night doing our basketball broadcast, that in the gymnasium there's a lot of big state of Ohio signs that have bowling listed on them for being state champions. And I'm not going to be able to remember them off the top of my head, but 2019 I remember was a pretty darn big year for bowling, with both the boys and the girls being state champions. Maybe, was there a 2017 and maybe a 2013?
I think the boys might have won it in 2016 or 2017 for the first time. And then the girls won their first state title in 2011.
2011.
Yep. And then, of course, both were state champions last year.
Yeah, that's absolutely outstanding. Yeah, so go tell him. So here we are. Jonathan Perez-Shinaberry, the left-hander, hooks one in for a strike. Nice work by the senior, who was recognized tonight for senior night. St. Mary's versus Van Wert. We're in game 1. Is this Carter Monbeck who's rolling for the Riders now, Tyler? I need numbers on their back.
Actually, they instituted numbers on bowling uniforms my junior year of high school back in 2012. So that was something new. But unfortunately, they're just that small little spot on the sleeve there.
Nice pickup by Van Wert. So what do we have there? We've got is that 9-10? And picked up the 9-10. So the boys are coached by Scott Ross. The girls by Jay Gibson. And I think if I look to my right at the Varsity Lanes honor roll that I'm probably going to find Scott Ross on that board multiple times. Jay Gibson. Then I think I saw your name, what, 298?
Actually, I got it up there twice. I got a 298, and I got it under the 300 column, too.
Oh, very nice. Where's the 300? What year?
2012.
Back in 2012. Very nice. So, obviously, 300 is the top score that you can get. So that would be 9, 10, 11, 12 straight strikes.
Yep.
And the 298 would be...
So to get 290 or above, you have to throw the first. Oh, I take that back. To get a 290, you can throw a spare in the first frame and strike out. To get anything 290 or above, you have to get the front 11 strikes, and then whatever additional pin count you get in the 12th frame.
Gotcha.
So for my 298, I had an 8 count in the 12th frame, which was actually a 7-10 split.
Would have been nice to pick that one up, but the probabilities of 7-10 pickups got to be extremely low, do they not?
I've only seen it done 3 times.
And 300 games at the high school level, do they happen?
I actually shot mine when I was a junior in high school, but it was right after the high school season ended. I was bowling in the leagues out here when I shot mine. There was a guy from Ottawa Glandorf, back before I was in high school, who shot a 300 in high school match play. And as far as I'm aware, he's the only guy from the WBL or WHSAA that has shot a 300.
During match play?
Correct.
I'll be darned. So we're still in frame 4, still watching the boys roll. Looks like Devin Shannon, senior, is up on lane 10, the left-hander. Nice pickup by Shannon. Now, he's left-handed, and I think I saw Jonathan Perez-Shinaberry is also a left-hander. Is there an advantage, left-hander versus right-hander in this sport?
So there is a minor advantage. There's not as many lefties as there are righties in the world. So with left-handers, they don't have as many people running their line, burning up their oil line. Their side holds more true longer. A running joke here at Varsity Lanes is that the lanes slant toward the parking lot. So a lefty would actually have a downhill advantage that the ball's rolling downhill towards it versus a righty that's got to go uphill. But I think that's just a running joke.
One of the crack staff members of Rider Nation Station running the camera, Joe Hurlbert, wants to know what effect the speed of the ball has in this game. Because when I come, I want to throw it as hard as I possibly can, just a machoism type thing more than anything, because I can't do anything else. What impact does that have in this sport?
So when you throw faster, you throw a heavier ball, obviously you get more momentum behind it. So you do hit the pins a little harder, they're more likely to bounce around, and you'll probably get a little better carry. But throwing harder is not always the answer. You throw too hard, you're just going to skirt right through that oil or the oil that they have out there, and it's not going to have the time to come up into the pocket. You're probably going to see it hit the pins a little light from the pocket. On the other side, if you throw it too slow, it's going to come in a little high and go right through the nose, typically leaving splits.
So is there an ideal speed that you're trying to achieve?
Depends on who you ask. A 14-pound ball at 13 miles an hour is typically enough to carry the 8 or 9 pin back there if you hit the pocket. I like to throw at about 15 and a half, 16 miles per hour.
Does it still record speed here?
It does, but they don't have it programmed. They don't
Calibrated
have it calibrated
quite right?
Yeah.
All right, he switched over to the girls. All right, see if I can do my, so that's 1, 2, is that a 7-8?
That is the 4-7.
4-6, so it's in front.
Yep.
There's Shinneberry trying to pick up the 10 pin and does on lane 10. Now, did I kind of see, was that kind of a two-handed roll?
Yeah, so two-handed bowling's become popular in recent years. When I was in high school, I saw a few people doing it, and I've noticed that it's probably 10 times more people nowadays that are bowling two-handed versus one-handed.
And what's the strategy, the concept behind it? Just more control of getting the correct curve thrown?
The only thing I know is you don't have to worry about your wrist breaking back then because you're rolling all the way through it. But when you're bowling one-handed, you need to make sure you keep your wrist locked. That way you can get good roll on the ball, good curve. That way it can snap out of that oil and drive through the pocket.
Gotcha. Very interesting. And so we can see scores on the monitors up there. Who's an actual official scorer in this I mean, who's doing the tabulation to know this is where St. Mary's boys are after game 1, and here's where Van Wert is?
So down, if you look at the screen, you can see they got the 5 scores next to each letter. And that shows the individual player's score. And then down at the very bottom, it tallies it up there.
And then there's a good picture of what you were just talking about, Tyler. And then, so once everybody's bowled for game 1, do the coaches just keep the tabulation then?
Yep. There's
okay.
They got a sheet that they'll fill out after each game and calculate everything and sign off at the end of the day.
Gotcha. Here's Hurley trying to pick up, and he does. Couldn't quite tell what pin that was, but he picked up the lone pin kind of in the middle there on lane 9.
I believe it was the 5 pin.
Van Wert Cougar bowler. Stayed a little wide right on lane 10. Here's St. Mary's girls. Leaves 1 pin up on lane 7. I'm afraid to guess anymore because that's what I'm doing is guessing. Shannon, left-hander.
Nice ball.
5, did it spin? Yes. Devin Shannon with the strike there. And on the girls' side are able to pick up that spare. Now that was I don't know if the speed was high, but those pins went flying there for the boys' side there. And I mean, they really jumped in the air. So I had good speed and hit the pocket just right and resulted in all 10 going down.
Yeah, I've seen people throw balls and they'll hit the pins like that. And you'll see them fly everywhere, and you'll just have one pin that somehow managed to stand up and avoid them all.
Right. Another solid strike. Shinneberry with that one. Trisha Yale left one open. Lane 7. The girls alternating now over to lane 8. Looks like we're in the 6th frame. Strike there for St. Mary's. Boy, the boys are on fire right now. Monbeck. And equalized by the Van Wert bowler. Just leaked out a little bit left. Let's talk about the approach. 3-step, 4-step, more than that? Is it just comfort level of each individual bowler?
I've seen people do 3-step, 4-step, 5-step. I saw one guy do a 7-step back in high school, and
wow.
I saw a guy that would go stand at the line and take 1 step forward. For the most part, it's however you're comfortable, but whenever I've coached people, I've always tried to get them to switch to a 4-step. That's typically the traditional approach.
4-step is traditional. Trying to take a look at the boys' monitor. So in 1, 2, 3, so they've had 4 straight strikes from frame 5 to 6, 5 straight. And that one just peeled off a little too hard right. Yep, 5 straight strikes. They were on fire. And when we get to the Baker games, that's what you want to see. Just have a team stay alive, get out of the gate strong, strike after strike.
Emily Pond with a good strike.
Going back to the boys. Van Wert rolling there in lane 9. Is there a name for the pin that falls down that's kind of seeking out after that last pin, trying to knock that down?
So when we got a pin that comes flying across the lane to hit another pin, we call it the messenger.
The messenger. Nice hit by Van Wert. St. Mary's boys. All right, so you've got on lane 10, back-to-back pins. Do you bowl it straight on, or are you trying to hit right in between with the curve?
So for a right-handed bowler, typically you'd want to come in with a little bit of curve, and you want to hit that front pin on the right side so that ball drives through that first pin and drives through and hits that back pin then too. Then if you tug it inside a little bit, you can hit that first pin straight back into it. Gives you a little more flexibility.
Let's see what we've got with, oh, got them both. Good pickup there. I believe that's Trisha Yale in lane 8. Strike for Van Wert. All right, so I've got a hardware question for you. Looks like a lot of the bowlers are wearing some type of wrist band, wrist protection. And then I just saw Trisha take it off for the second ball there. So what is the concept behind the wrist protection, wrist guard, whatever it is? You'll tell me here shortly. And do you see players take it on, take it off during certain situations?
Yeah, so that wrist brace just kind of helps keep their wrist flat, keeps it from being able to break back. When you keep it flat, you're able to get more hook on it. If it breaks back, you just killed all that hook out of that ball, and it's more likely to slide straight. So when you're shooting a single pin spare, normally you want to throw a straight ball towards it. So they'll take their brace off, let their wrist break back, and she also switched over to a plastic ball for that spare shot. Now plastic ball slides further. It doesn't have as much, doesn't have as abrasive of a surface, so there's less friction, so it doesn't hook as much. Typically when you throw a plastic ball, it just goes straight. So helps take some of that air out. You don't have to worry about hooking up too much or too little.
I'll be darned. So we just missed Shinneberry with a nice pickup. Left a 10-pin for the boys, believe Carter Monbeck. So the traditional, conventional, most widely used ball is a wooden ball, or no?
No. So
that's many eons ago?
Yeah, that was quite a while ago. Now most covers are urethane or resin stocks.
So is it based on what the finish of the ball is, or actually the core of the ball?
Well, there's a number of things. So how much a ball hooks depends upon the core, the shape of the core in the ball. It depends on the cover stock, and then it depends on the grit finish that you polish the ball to. Most balls are somewhere between 2,000 and 8,000 on their grit finish. And then different brands use different factory polishes.
And so you had mentioned that Tricia had switched over to a plastic ball. And that's the finish?
Yeah, so the cover stock is plastic, and then inside the core is typically a solid core. There's no fancy geometry to it, so it rolls straight and true.
And so what would have her first ball composition been then?
My guess is it's probably a resin cover stock. Not sure what the polish would have been on it, but it probably had some asymmetrical shape inside the core. And what that does is that allows it to hook up once it gets through that oil.
So really what it comes down to this sport is there's a lot of math and science.
A lot of math and science, yeah.
St. Mary's girls. Curves just right, leaves the 7-pin on lane 7. And we're in frame 7. Any fancy term for what Devin just left there on lane 9?
Oh, no fancy term. Definitely not ideal.
All right, back to the girls for St. Mary's. Looking at the 7-pin on lane 7, just a tad right. Back to Shannon. He's got a trio of pins. He's going to try to smash down and finds the lead one and leaves 2 standing. Van Wert. Here's the two-handed roll from the right side. Boy, that really took off hard to the left at the tail end there. Missed the pocket that he was looking for, and he was trying to find the right side of the head pin there.
Correct.
And it just curved pretty darn quick on him. Girls have been leaving a couple open frames here. Looks like that might have been the second open frame in frame 7. Pick up for the boys. Very nice. So that went on the left side of the pin, but was effective.
Yeah.
Did I see that right, that it did hit on the left side of the head pin?
Yeah, she hit the left side of the head pin. We call that a Brooklyn strike. When you hit
Brooklyn?
When you hit the wrong side than you intend to.
So you can't come back and say, I meant to do that.
There's times where, depending on what lane you're on, trying to get a normal strike just doesn't quite work out. And instead, you try to throw Brooklyn. And if you're good at it, then keep rolling with it if it's carrying. So
senior Tricia Yale just picked up a strike there for St. Mary's. So for all of you newcomers to this sport like me, make certain you remember the messenger and the Brooklyn strike. I'm certain there's going to be some other terminology before this is all said and done. Perez, wow! That rode the edge of that lane for a long time and just broke perfectly, and he picks up that 3-pin spare there. Looks like Mon back up for the boys. Releases. And he's going to leave 3 pins to the right. So a lot of times when I commentate, I try to liken the game to a sport that I know a little bit of, and not a whole lot, but that's basketball. So when I was just looking at the screen there and saw him up there taking his deep breaths in, it reminded me of a free throw. And in basketball, you've got 10 seconds by the time you got the ball to actually shoot it. Is there any type of time limit like that before somebody's going to say, hey, roll it or give it up?
I haven't seen in the rule book where there's any kind of time limit on anything. And I've seen players take quite a bit of time up there. But
you got to get right in the head, right? When you're clear everything out and focus on what's ahead of you. It may take you a nanosecond and just throw it, or you may take 10 seconds to actually prepare yourself, and that's fine in this sport. In golf, you can get penalized for slow play. They're not going to make a deduct here for, unless it's really exaggerated. I guess you'd have some people getting on you a little bit.
Now in adult tournaments, there is a time limit as to how long you have to finish.
Nice strike by St. Mary's girls. Shannon leaves 1 pin up, I believe. We had a question the other day for basketball that they wanted a shot clock. So no shot clocks here in bowling. Back to back. Yep, back to back strikes. Actually, the girls have, if I'm reading that correctly, 2 in the previous frame, a spare, and then 2 more strikes.
They got a nice 8th frame going up, setting them well to finish this game.
And what are the coaches? So what's Coach Jay and Coach Scott targeting for an overall team score? What do they want to see?
Well, I know Scott would like to see a 1,500 on every day. But to get 5 bowlers to bowl 300s every time is a little difficult. But Scott, when his teams are shooting over 1,000, he's happy.
Okay, over 1,000. And the girls 900-ish, or?
Yeah, if the girls are shooting about 900, 950, that's a real good game.
Good.
If they can average that, Jay's happy.
And it looks like the boys are midway through the 8th frame. The girls getting ready to finish out the 8th frame. Nice pickup for St. Mary's. So what Van Wert just had a maybe a 4-7 with a 10 pin. Any terminology on monikers on something like that?
No, just a split you don't want to leave. It does help having that 4-pin in there if you, as a lefty, if you miss it. Where I would typically line up for a 7-pin, I want to shoot just a little bit further outside, barely catch that 4-pin, and I can send it over into the 10-pin.
Tricia just misses her pick up there. So Curious Joe has another question that he just submitted, and that's the arrows on the lane and what that represents or what a bowler's looking at, if at all, when he's approaching.
So the arrows on the lane are spaced from the gutter on the left-hand side. You got the first board and then the second board, and then each arrow represents the 5th board or the 10th board, 15, increments of 5. For righty, you'd start out on the right-hand side and go 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Bowlers, it just depends on who the bowler is, who their coach is, and what the lane conditions are like. I've spent time looking at the arrows. I've spent time looking. There's actually a row of dots about 5 feet out on the lane from the foul line. I've looked at those dots, and I've looked all the way down lane 45 feet where the oil pattern is typically ending. And I've picked a target out there and shot for that.
The line, and if my foot crosses the line, that's a foul.
That is correct.
Nothing should count if it's called. Is that an honesty call there, or can somebody, the bowler in the next lane say, hey, you just went over the line?
So they do have little lasers out there that are right on the foul line. So if your toe does go over, it does pick it up. Most facilities will have those shut off typically. The ones here tend to act up every now and then, and they'll call fouls even when there aren't fouls, so we don't typically turn them on. So for the most part, it is an honesty thing.
So the probability of Junior picking up this spare on lane 9 is probably not real high.
So it's not very high, but he does have a chance.
What would you try to do in this situation?
If it was me, I would aim for the right side, try to hit the 10 pin, and then that 6 pin that's in front of it, I would try to hit that. It should just barely bounce off the 9 pin there, and then the 6 pin will come across and hit the 4 pin on the back side, and it'll deflect into the 7 pin.
We'll see if it can happen. Here comes Junior. Oh! I think he was exactly after what Tyler was. We need a telestrator for Tyler on that one there.
He just got it out a little bit too far. If he was a ½ inch in, he probably would have picked that up.
That would have been awesome to witness. Shannon back up for St. Mary's. Left-hander. Nice. Even for the untrained eye, it's neat when you see it developing, and you can kind of tell that's the perfect ball. It's going to knock all 10 down. St. Mary's girls, lane 7. So that pretty much hit the head pin straight on. And now you've got a 7-6-10 combo to pick up. So do you, same technique as what you were just talking about previously, try to hit that 10 pin?
Yep, so if I'm Emily, I'm going to try to just barely hit that 6 pin on the right-hand side and send it across the lane, and the ball will carry through and carry that 10.
Perez Shenaberry leaves 3. Seems that we've seen that combo quite a few times here in this first game. Again, if you're just joining us, Doug Spencer, Tyler Parent, Rider Nation Station, bringing you high school bowling from Varsity Lanes. Oh, darn close for the lane 7. We're in game 1 of 2 traditional games, and then we'll end it out with the Baker game, which is a lot of fun, so make certain you check that out. Heading after the 10 pin for Van Wert, finds the gutter just prior to it. Do we have anybody in? Nobody's in frame 10 yet. So back-to-back gutters from lane 8 to lane 7. Monbeck knew it. Shows his excitement for the perfect roll there. A little strategy from Coach Jay Gibson. I believe this is Trisha. Trisha leaves 2. And so if you're a sub, you know going into this that you may not get put in at all. You may be sitting here for a couple hours and not get put in the entire time, correct?
If the 5 bowlers that you start with are all hot and bowling that good, yeah.
But if they're not, you've got to be mentally prepared to go in and try to keep in mind what you remember about the oil patterns, and you're probably focused in on what's happening with each bowler to keep that in mind, right? Because you may be going in game 2, frame 7, and it's been a long time since you actually rolled a practice ball.
Yeah, so you're constantly talking to your teammates, and as they're making adjustments, they need to talk to you and tell you, hey, I moved 2 boards with my feet, 1 with my mark. I started getting the ball out there a little further, rolling it deeper before it comes out. It's happened where people might sit for a game and a half and come in cold. That's the hardest when you come off the bench, hour and a half since you thrown your last ball.
That would be tough. Big bowl by Junior Hurley. Big celebration by Junior Hurley as he picks up the strike. So Junior is in the 10th frame. Junior approaching with roll number 2 in the 10th frame. He's going to have an attempt at picking up a spare to end his first game. So it looks as we speak right now with the situation with a lot of moving parts that the boys are at 7:23, the Van Wert boys at 7:11, but a lot of math has to be figured out yet. Ball 3 for Junior. Oh! Boy, Van Wert's first, that would be Van Wert's second bowler. 2 straight strikes. And for the girls, picked up. Junior Hurley ends up with a 744, 144. 144. Gonna need to get an eye doctor sponsor, Joe. Get these bifocals working a little better. Shannon, left-hander. Breaks it a little too soon, leaves that one empty. Nice pickup for the Van Wert youngster. Big time strike for St. Mary's. St. Mary's boys with the two-handed curl. Ooh, Messenger couldn't fully do its job. It's gonna have to split. .209. Boys not able to pick up that split. St. Mary's girls have the one pin. Again, I need to get numbers in a... Gonna have to figure out how I remember who's who. Jonathan Perez-Shinneberry, another left-hander for Coach Scott Ross. Leaves one up. And Tyler, there's a little bit of a gentleman's sport that you just don't go up and roll your ball while somebody to the left or the right of you is getting ready to roll that ball as well, correct?
That's right. So in high school matches and in most leagues, they do a one-lane courtesy. So if somebody's up to your left or right, you won't go up. Some places they do 2 lanes courtesy, which really slows down gameplay for everybody else. But
all righty, we're getting close to ending game 1. Looks like we've got a pretty evenly matched contest with the boys. Somebody just hit the slot machine, Joe. 777s is the score right now. Again, thank you for watching our broadcast as we're trying to highlight all of the sports teams during this winter 2020. We've done boys basketball, girls basketball. We've got one wrestling match under our belt. The wrestling team had their opener at home and they've been on the road and for a long time. They'll come back at the end of January. The girls basketball team started off with a lot of home games and they are on a serious road show. They come back at the end of January. We'll pick back up. And then we've got swimming. And swimming will be live streamed the day after Christmas. It's about a 7 p.m. start, so make certain you tune in and watch swimming. We wanted to live stream this contest, but the internet was just not strong enough for us to live stream the video, so we're doing this one as a tape delay. So our scores are on the left monitor, and we're at an 825 right now. Is that how I'm reading that?
Yep, the boys are sitting at 825, and then the Van Wert boys are at 786. So
and the Van Wert boys are done. Yep. But it's not. You won game you won game 1. You get a point. It's take that 780 whatever they had, and whatever our 8 something's going to be, and that will accumulate into game 2, and then the Baker game, right?
Correct. So they take a total of the whole day and add them up, and
so not the best of 3. It's total points.
Correct.
All right. And on the girls' side, I didn't look quickly enough to see where we...
The girls lost that one by about 20 pins, looks like. 60 pins.
797 to 734, if these eyes are working correctly. Looks like the boys finished with an 835. So good victory for Coach Ross and the Rough Rider boys bowling team. See whether or not we have any lineup changes with either team. And we do the same exact thing all over again.
That is correct.
And then when we get to the Bakers, those will move pretty quickly for, is it just one Baker game or is it 3 Baker games?
So there's 5 Baker games.
So there's 5 Baker games. Hence the 3-hour game time for bowling.
It's interesting to see when they go to tournaments such as state or the kickoff classic down in Columbus. They actually start out, they'll bowl 3 regular games, and then I believe they bowl 6 Baker games, and then they'll cut the field down to 16 or 32 or 8, depending on however many teams they have. And they just bowl head-to-head match play on Baker games, and they do the best of 5.
Huh. So Logan Yelton, who did the commentary for our one and only broadcast last year, his advice was to, as Junior Hurley starts things off with a strike, was perhaps just capture the Baker games instead of the entire contest here, but we chose to go ahead and capture the entire contest and see how this works out. It is a very exciting sport when maybe you wouldn't think that it would, just watching 5 people from one team bowl against 5 people from another team, but there is an element of excitement, especially when you pick up the strike or the big time spare. You love to see the excitement that exudes from each one of the rollers and their teammates supporting them. Rider Nation Station's happy to bring you lots of these different events, and it's been a learning experience for us too. You know, it's at football games, we know that we've got a press box and high elevation to shoot from, and basketball games the same. And then you come to swimming, you're not real certain how you're going to do something like that, and bowling. But we try to make it work out the best that we possibly can, and bring to you an element of Rough Rider athletics that maybe you've never seen before, or you really want to see, but you're not allowed in due to the restrictions from COVID. And bowling's a relatively young sport. Is it 20 years in the making, less than that?
So high school bowling, St. Mary's had a team, I believe, since the late 90s. But back then it was just a club sport. I don't think it became a varsity sport until right there around 2006, 2007 maybe.
Okay.
But it's been definitely gaining speed and picking up in popularity with the high schools.
And Carl Kieser and Jay Gibson, probably the two who really pushed for the sport to come about and get the youngsters involved. I mean, there were always youth leagues around, but it was more just recreational and something to do on a Saturday or Sunday perhaps. But that's probably a big thing now, is to get the youngsters involved and kind of a little bit of a feeder system into the high school system.
Yeah, so Scott Ross and Jay Gibson and Carl Dameyer and Carl Kieser, they've always been around the youth leagues. They're out here on Sundays helping coach the kids, seeing who has interest in, the ones that are in getting close to junior high, see which ones want to join the junior high team, see which ones want to go into the high school team eventually. and they start working with them at a younger age to try to get them up to speed and be at the top of their game at a younger age. Walpock and Coldwater have always had great programs because they're out there doing that on a weekly basis when the kids are 8 years and younger.
So when's it appropriate to start teaching a youngster the curve? Right out of the gate, or is that something that needs to develop as they get a little bit older?
So I got my first bowling ball when I was 8 years old, and they started working with me then. And as a kid gets older, they just start throwing harder, they throw heavier balls, and when they get more consistent, then they just start getting more hook into it naturally. Ball speed and arm strength and finger strength really plays into that.
Gotcha.
I will say this is probably one of the hardest oil patterns that they will bowl on all year long.
Here at Varsity Lanes?
Yep. So they chose to throw out the beaten path. Typically with an oil pattern, a house shot, the outsides are a little drier and there's more oil on the inside. So if you miss your shot outside, it's going to hook up a little sooner to gain back that extra ground. And if you miss inside, it rolls through the oil longer so it doesn't hook as much in the end. It's kind of a saving grace of the house shot. This is kind of inverted, so there's less oil in the center and the outsides are soaked with oil. So if you miss outside, it's just going to slide.
And is that something that Van Wert would always expect, knowing that this is how the lanes are oiled at Varsity Lanes, or does that vary? Can you vary the oil patterns from match to match to match?
So I think nowadays, before the matches happen, they do share what oil pattern is going to be put out for the match. But back when I was in high school, it was that was a saving grace for home field advantage. We'd come into St. Mary's and we'd practice all week knowing what the oil pattern was. Nobody else did. So when we had our big matches against like Walpock or Coldwater or the Van Wert team or St. Henry, those high caliber teams year after year, we would always have that little advantage to help us out at home. You kind of base it off of how the other team's bowlers bowl. Walpock likes to throw the ball way out there and have it snap back real hard.
Okay.
So you kind of want to drench things so they're not able to. Or you want to make it drier, that way everything they throw just snaps immediately coming off their hand and just keeps going left of that head pin all day long.
I'll be darned. So there's strategy even before the contest starts.
Yep. And I'm not sure how other places do it, but here at St. Mary's, Coach Ross does have a lot of say in what pattern's going to be thrown out and what patterns they practice on throughout the week when they go to other houses.
So when does the crew oil the lanes?
Typically they get oiled every day. Right before practice, I'll oil them for the kids to bowl on with whatever pattern Scott has them throw out. And then after they're done with practice, they go back and re-oil them for leagues with the typical house shot.
Okay. Well, we're into frame 2 of game 2. Nice strike there by, is that Emily Pond for St. Mary's. Okay, so I think, did we get a substitution for the boys here?
Yeah, it looks like we...
Is that Jack? Booze, possibly? It's hard to tell in a normal situation. Then you throw a mask on top. Makes it even a little more difficult. Picks the front one up. Leaves 2 standing behind. Mr. Coleman's had his exercise today. I've seen him have to run down maybe 3 or 4 times to fix the mechanics behind the pins there.
Yeah, Lane 10's been giving him fits.
Has it all been lane 10 for this contest?
I know I've seen it go down 3 times now.
Nice, but leaves one.
Nice single pin pickup by Caden.
Caden Bolwick just finishing up there for St. Mary's. So we talked, Scott really would like to see 4-digit score per each game. Stayed in the 800s, so room for improvement. What do you expect normally, and I know everything can vary, but do scores typically increase from game 1 to game 2, or is it the inverse of that?
I would say it probably stays pretty consistent.
Okay.
Reason being, some guys find that groove and they start throwing more strikes, and there's some people that, you know, their line changes before somebody else's, whether because somebody from the opposing team's bowling in it or you got somebody else in your team bowling in that same lane. And it's just hard to adjust sometimes depending on the oil pattern.
Yep. And I think a very interesting point that you mentioned earlier, Tyler, is an advantage for left-handed bowlers because there's not as many that the oil pattern doesn't get worn down as much as what the right-handers are going to find.
Yeah, I always typically find myself moving about 2 to 3 boards with my feet, and never more than 1 or 2 boards with my mark throughout a day. A righty, I've seen righties move as much as 10 boards in a day.
Wow. So baseball has switch hitters. Have you ever seen that in bowling where somebody will change it up?
So there are bowlers that bowl left and right-handed, but whatever hand you start the game with, you have to finish that game with.
Huh. I'll be darned.
Now, at the high school level, since they changed the whole substitution rules, I'm not sure how that affects it, but I know in like adult leagues, you have to bowl with one hand the whole game. You can switch at the start of a new game.
Okay.
And it does count as 2 separate statistics. They'll keep an average for your left-handed and an average for your right hand.
Huh. Monbeck picks up the spare. Looked like a 6-10 combo that he got there. Big-time strike for St. Mary's girls. For the boys, Junior Hurley. Interesting combination left for Junior there.
So that was a case where he just got it out a little bit too far and it never had time to come back in. And he throws with a lot of speed, so missing outside today is not going to help him at all.
Yep. Looking to pick up the spare is Emily, and she does do so. Spare for St. Mary's. And see, I can't even find the number. What, you said it's on the sleeve?
Yeah, there should be a number on their sleeve somewhere. That was Chloe Gibson with that strike.
Good work for Chloe. Do you know who we have here for the girls?
I do not know.
I do believe for the boys, that's Jack Booz. Jack one pin. And leaks it left, leaves that frame open. Big strike for Van Wert. Is there a WBL tournament at the end of the regular season, or is it just like most sports that it's however you fared with your record is who the WBL champ is? Or do all teams have WBL, or all WBL teams have bowling now?
Yeah, so now all WBL teams do have bowling. Back when I was in high school, we had the WOHSAA, the Western Ohio High School Bowling Association, and it was a mixture of WBL teams and MAC teams, since not all teams in those conferences had bowling. But since I graduated, yeah, all the WBL teams now have, or all the WBL schools now have teams, and that's actually a majority of our matches now. The WBL actually left the WOHSAA when that all started. We still play MAC teams throughout the year to help fill the schedule.
And will they play like wrestling? Will they have their duels, but they'll go to tournaments throughout the regular season? Is it all duels, or do they have tournaments that they play throughout the regular season as well?
So they do have tournaments. The big one is always the Kickoff Classic. That is normally, I think, in the beginning of December or end of November. That's down in Columbus. That's an invitational. State teams always get invited, whoever wins state.
Okay.
And then if you win different tournaments throughout the years, you can get invited to it, or depending on how you compete at the state level, they invite you in. St. Mary's boys made it for the first time in the fall of 2011 because of how they did in the 2010 season.
Sure.
But I take that back. It was the fall of 2009. They did well enough then in 2010 we could come back to see it. They also have the Pioneer Classic coming up on Martin Luther King Day in January. That's up at Westgate in Lima.
Okay.
St. Mary's come home with the medal from that a couple times now.
And I think something that people may not be aware of is there's life after high school bowling, that you can get some scholarship money to bowl collegiately.
Yes, we actually have a couple bowlers right now that are going to UNOH for various degrees, and they're bowling on the team right now for them. We've had a few go to Rio, and there's been some in years past that have gone to Ohio State. We've had some go to Wright State. There was a guy out of Versailles that actually went to Chicago on a full ride for bowling.
Wow. And then Tiffin is a recipient of a couple of our bowlers for this year.
Yep, Tiffin has a couple of our bowlers this year.
So Jaden, I believe, is that Tiffin? And
Elena Thornsberry. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you for bailing me out again. Ooh. All right, so Carter in lane 10. Just trying to get one. Or can you kick that and send it across?
I would play it safe and make sure I cover one pin.
Junior does a nice job getting that ball to turn in the exact spot that he needed. Comes up with a big time strike. All right, let's see what strategy will be deployed here by Carter. So we're looking at 7-10, is that correct on lane 10?
It does look like the 7-10, yep.
A little wide right of the 7-10. Leaves that one empty. Here comes Jack. Gets that to turn just a little too quick on him. Leaves 3 pins up. Nice pickup for the Lady Riders. One hiding from me there, 4 pins. Jack almost picks that one up. Coming up for St. Mary's on the boys' side, lane 9. Caden Ballwig, he throws a two-handed ball a lot of times. As he does there, snaps pretty quickly. All right, just things that pop into your head when I watch Caden Bull there, Tyler. As soon as he got done, he picked his gator mask and put it back up over his face. So I guess a couple things here. Breathing, is that a component of bowling? And then how does or would a mask impact your game, if at all?
Breathing is definitely a part of bowling. I found that when I get into a rhythm with my breathing and I'm starting to strike, I can keep those strikes rolling by keeping that same pace of breathing, making sure I'm taking my first step as I'm exhaling. And it's all a mental thing. There's times when I can go up there and just throw strike after strike and not pay attention to it. There's other times where I'm really focusing in. And it's normally once you get a nice string of strikes going when you get 4 or 5 in a row. The mask, it's definitely going to be a comfort thing. If you're not comfortable up there on the lanes, you're probably going to be thinking about other things besides what your next shot's going to do. So it does, to me, it would bother me.
Have you had to bowl with one on yet?
No, when we bowl in the men's leagues, we don't wear masks.
So yeah, just a different element that, I mean, I'm trying to think of any other sport that I've seen thus far where when you're actively participating that you have to wear it. And bowling might be the only sport that I can come up with.
Yeah, I don't know if they do during golf or not.
Tennis did not. I did not actively see any golf matches.
Yeah, this is probably the only sport that you actually have to wear a mask in while competing.
Yeah, the only other one I would have come up with would be tennis, but that doesn't really make any sense that they would put them since you're on one side of the net and your opponent's on the other. I'll be darned, wrestling doesn't. I guess if wrestling doesn't. Interesting thought there, yeah. Like I said, I just happened to watch Caden. After he bowled, he immediately put that gator, lets the palm down, immediately puts it back up, adjust it.
I think if they got gator necks on, they can pull it down while they're bowling, and then as soon as they're done throwing, it looks like they're always putting it back up.
Okay.
So as you see these bowlers with the traditional masks, they're leaving them on the whole time, so they can't just pull it down over their neck real quick.
Yeah, and then the breathing component, I think would, like you said, you got to get in that groove, but then also sometimes you just got to clear everything out and have the right breathing to do so. So, yeah, just a lot of interesting things that you really never think about when you're like me and you bowl a couple times. You just come up here and wing it down the lane and see what happens. So now it looks like leagues are starting to, league players are starting to arrive, and they'll be bowling next to them. There's a tarp here. You may or may not be able to see it on your screen, separating the high school aspect of bowling from the league aspect. Kind of take a look at where we're at on the boys' side. It looks like starting frame 5. And Wert just had a strike. Girls' side looks like they're into frame 6. Looks like the girls on lane 7. As of right now, 375 versus Van Wert's 434. For the boys, Van Wert's looking at a 267. St. Mary's boys a 277. And nice pickup for St. Mary's Lady Riders. And again, just something you notice, take off on that second ball, take off the brace, the wrist brace, and I've got no idea whether or not that was a different type of ball or not, but picked up the spare.
Some bowlers will switch to a plastic ball, some don't. I'm able to throw my strike ball just as straight as I throw my plastic ball, but when you're throwing a plastic ball, you don't have to worry about it. If your wrist breaks back or stays flat, it doesn't affect it a whole lot.
So if you're just joining us, this is Rider Nation Station bringing you high school bowling. I'm Doug Spencer, alongside me, Tyler Parent. We talked earlier about Tyler being on the honor roll. He's got a 298 and a 300 under his belt. And glad to be bringing you high school bowling. 2 conventional games that are going to be followed by 5 Baker games. And Tyler, let's go ahead and just kind of prep people for what the Baker game format is again, if they're just tuning in.
So with a Baker game, you're going to have one scorer up there, and you're going to have one bowler bowl the first frame, and then you're going to have a bowler bowl the second frame, third frame, and the fourth frame, and fifth frame. Then once you get to the 6th frame, whoever bowled the first frame will bowl the 6th, and they'll just go back through the order that way. Now the coaches can make a substitution at any time they want. Typically, when it comes down to the Baker games, I've seen a team have a 200-pin lead going into Baker's, and they blow it all in the Baker games, just because their team can't keep up. You get one team that's hot and shooting 210, 220 consistently, and the other team, because they're only throwing one ball every 5 frames, they kind of fall off and get cold.
So that's really where the mental aspect of that game comes in, is I bowl frame 1. I'm sitting for a while until I get a roll again in frame 6.
Right, and it's weird because it's not, I mean, it's the same time period between a normal frame and a regular game. You've still got 4 other bowlers between one ball and the next ball. But the fact that you're only throwing 2 balls in a game kind of changes your mindset.
Sure.
Changes the importance of picking up or trying to pick up a split versus taking the safe bet of a single pin. And it's that game where you definitely want to make sure you got a strong leadoff spot, somebody that can get a strike or a spare no matter what.
So I'm going to show off just a little bit of my knowledge I've gained so far. Chinnaberry gets a strike due to the messenger taking down the last pin. How you like that, sports fans? So I think we've got Chloe trying to pick up. And Monbeck picks up a strike. And I'm going to have to look closer. I thought Chloe had 2 pins to take down when there were actually 3 pins that were left standing.
Every now and then you'll get a sleeper pin behind one.
And it's just kind of hidden.
Yeah. Typically, unless you look close, you can't pick it up. That's why it's always important.
Has it perhaps slid a little bit from the initial roll, or?
Sometimes pins do slide out of position, and there are times like with splits that can actually benefit you as a bowler. I've also seen it where they've slid pretty far away and it can make it difficult.
Got the safe 2 on that split option there. St. Mary's girls starting to climb back here. Oh! Junior Hurley firing this crowd up at St. Mary's Varsity Lanes with that very impressive strike on lane 9. St. Mary's Lady Riders with a strike as well. Definitely a spectator sport as well. Lots of fans in front and behind really getting excited of the play of the Lady Riders and the boys team. Looks like 470, and I can't tell if that's 485 or 95.
Looks like 495 for the Van Wert girls.
And they just picked up a spare. Lady Riders, I believe 1 pin. Looks like the 7 pin still standing on lane 8. Jack trying to pick this one up and does. Picked up 4. And the boys are in frame 6, I believe. Caden Bolwig will step up here momentarily. Trying to pick up this spare and does. The Lady Riders have put together a nice 7th frame, strike, strike, spare. Caden leaves 2 pins. Be the 4-7 for Caden. Chloe steps up, knocks 9 down. Oh, nice work by Caden Balwig, picking up that spare. All righty, so Chloe's got the 8 pin. And knocks it down. Again, the Lady Riders have been marking out quite nicely in frame 7. Strike, strike, spare, spare in frame 7. See whether or not we can keep this frame 7. All marks. Jonathan Perez Shinaberry. Similar to what Jack Booz just had, and has the same exact result for senior Jonathan Perez Shinaberry. He, along with Junior Hurley, Devin Shannon, Carter Monbeck, Brandon Miller, and Zach Steva, Lily Steinberg, Trisha Yale, Kirsten Brotherwood, Caitlin Schreema were all recognized earlier today for senior night. Wow. So you're telling me Van Wert has 2 JV bowlers? So what Joe has pointed out is that his eyeballs are telling him Van Wert only has 2 JV bowlers versus our full team.
Yeah, so I can't say I've ever seen that. When I was in high school, we always had varsity at one facility, and JV was always at another place. So all the varsity teams were always full teams. But I have heard that there are JV teams out there where some weeks they don't have a full team. I think they just take the scores from those 2 bowlers for the first 2 games, and I'm not sure how it works out in the Bakers. I guess we'll find out here as we proceed further in the match.
Joe, you have great questions. I'll be darned. So just as solid of a performance that St. Mary's had in frame 7, did leave the last one open. Van Wert's still been able to keep that separation. As of right now, they've had 1 bowler in frame 8 go. They're standing at 5:59. St. Mary's has not had a bowler in frame 8, and they're standing at 5:07. Lady Riders need some big time marks to close the gap here. On the boys' side, just into frame 7. Our boys are at 4:23. Junior Hurley trying to mark, and indeed does mark. And the Van Wert boys in the same spot, although they just knocked down all 10 there. We're at 395. You know, Tyler, this is, and Joe may be able to attest to this too, this is old school education here. When we were in phys ed, don't know if it was the same for you, but when we learned about bowling and then we would actually come, the computers were just getting here, but we actually had to learn how to truly score, and we were tested over different scenarios and come up with the score for that. Same for you, Joe. Joe's acknowledging yes, and it was on the old paper, and how you would color it in if it was a spare or fully in for a strike, and it's funny things that stick with you because I don't do the sport real often, but a strike is 10 plus the next 2 balls. The spare is 10 plus the next ball, correct?
Yep.
And you would have to sit there and do all the math on that score sheet. And that was part of your phys ed grade back in the day.
Unfortunately, bowling's not part of the curriculum anymore, but counting pins is something that you spend enough time bowling, it just comes natural, and it can bite you sometimes. You start thinking about what you can score and what you need to score in order to win, and that gets in your head sometimes. It's one thing Scott Ross always preached to us was don't pay attention to the scoreboard. That's his job. Just worry about your next ball.
And that's a good coaching technique right there. Oh, got a possibility.
Oh, just
leaked. Just leaked on lane 7. Strong roll there on lane 9 for Van Wert.
So just to come back to what's going on in that JV match where they only have 2 bowlers, it appears that for those bowlers that weren't present, they went ahead and marked those frames as a no score.
So those girls don't have to make up the whole team's.
Correct. Yeah, you still only bowl your 2 frames, and the rest of them will go in as a 0
just
score.
Just a 0.
Yeah.
Oh, Chloe, that was interesting. Did you see that one, Tyler?
Yeah, she hit it just a little bit too far on the left side, and it kicked out. And being right-handed, it comes curling back to the left there, and just bad bouncing off the pin.
All right, so the Van Wert Cougar gal who just had a nice strike. She's wearing a skirt. I think all of our bowlers are in pants. Could the girls or guys wear shorts?
So shorts are not allowed in bowling at the high school level. They have to wear either dress pants or they are allowed to wear skirts similar to golf and tennis.
So blue jeans are out of the picture?
Yeah, blue jeans are out of the picture.
But a skirt, just like you said, in tennis is permissible. And collared shirt, obviously. Any idea, just because of my curiosity, what would happen if I did go out in shorts or blue jeans and try to bowl?
So if you manage to throw a ball down the lane, it would be grounds for that score being disqualified. I don't think you have to forfeit the whole match, but whatever score that bowler had scored, it will be null and void.
With the inappropriate uniform.
Correct.
But more than likely, the coaches are going to catch them before.
Yeah, normally the coaches are real good about, and the players are real good about knowing what's appropriate to wear. I've never seen anybody try to show up in shorts or blue jeans.
So far, the girls, they're getting a little bit of separation closed in, but Van Wert's doing a nice job thus far in frame 9 of staying ahead of them. Boys are in the 8th frame. St. Mary's currently standing at 535. Van Wert 463. Earlier we asked about an ideal game score. And Tyler said that Coach Ross would love to be in the 4 digits, 1,000 plus, and Coach Ross 950 plus. And that's when you're bowling exceptionally well.
Yeah, scores are a little low today because of the pattern they are on, with how difficult it is. But when you're bowling on a typical house shot, you want to see your team averaging about 200 points per player. A day like today with a shot like this, you can, for the boys, if they can hit 900 every game, that'd be about right on pace with where they need to be. And for the girls, I'd say about 850, maybe even 900. That anchor for Van Wert, she is a solid bowler. I've heard nothing but high praises about her skills.
Another strike for Van Wert. Oh! What a beautiful pickup. I think, was that half the pins for a spare there, I believe.
Yeah, she had 5 pins up there for that spare shot.
Lefty, find in the pocket, no. 6-10 combo for Jonathan Perez-Shinneberry. I think this is Chloe for the Lady Riders. Three pins. I'd like to thank the crew to make this happen. Nice pickup by Jonathan Perez-Shinneberry. Giving you the close-up shots. Down by the bowlers is student Ross Henshin. Running the other two cameras, Joe Hilbert, and making everything happen, Rich Spencer. Was hoping that this would definitely be a live stream. Internet just not quite strong enough to push through the live stream, so just doing this as a tape delay. At the conclusion of this second game, we will bring to you the Baker games. So the Rider Nation station will be back in action from McBroom. That's old school. From the new high school, the Horseshoe. Tuesday night, New Knoxville Ranger boys team comes in. And then on the day after Christmas, 7 p.m., we've got senior night at the West Y. And we will bring to you the entire swim meet. I think that's a tri-meet. And then on the 29th of December, Spencerville Bearcat boys team will come back to the Horseshoe to play our boys. Lots of things happening in Rider Nation Station this winter 2020-21 season. And Tyler, I know that Logan was working things out, and I need to make a phone call to see if we can get to Walpock and bring to you that intra-county rivalry match there. And that's who we were able to broadcast last year, and that was a lot of fun. And two perennial power bowling teams, both on the boys and the girls side right there. Walpock probably is my guess, got started with the program a little earlier than St. Mary's, or were they about equal? Do you know?
I'm not sure when they started their high school program. I do know that they get their kids more actively involved in bowling and get people out there coaching them at younger ages. That's why when they get into high school, they're just a solid team year after year. And it's a family thing. There's, they got whole families of bowlers that just keep coming through, it seems like. And St. Mary's and Coldwater are similar in those ways too.
So help me out again with the state championships. That the girls have 3?
I believe they both have 2.
They both have 2, okay.
I believe so, yeah.
Walpock or Coldwater have that many state championships, or does St. Mary's have the edge on state champions? Any idea?
If I had to guess, I'd say Walpock and Coldwater both probably have close to 10 championships.
Wow.
They've been solid programs for years. With us getting our first one in 2011, we've really improved in the last decade.
So combined in the boys and girls for each team, they're close to double digits, if not into double digits. And
Combined for both teams, they're probably closer to 15 to 20.
Wow.
Yeah, those are two very solid programs in the state. And they were winning it back when everything was one division. Now they got things split up into two separate divisions, Walpock being in the D1 and Coldwater being in D2. So now they both have an opportunity to walk home with medal each year.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll see whether or not we can make the Walpock trip work out and see what kind of internet they have first too. Not that we can't do takeaway, but and whether or not we take Logan's advice and just do the Baker games. Because we got started rolling right around 5 o'clock, and so we're at 6:46. So probably right around 7 we'll start the Baker games. Andy might as well just get a tent and stay down in lane 10.
There are some days that people will sit back there all night and it's just hitting one button. The solenoid gets stuck and there's just not enough time to fix it right on the spot.
Right. Boy, I picked that one up just ever so slightly, but that's all that I needed to knock that pin down on lane 7 with Emily. Must be in the 10th frame for the girls. Yes, we are. Van Wert presently standing at 740. St. Mary's at 712. Junior picks up his spare. Boys are still in the 9th frame. St. Mary's 603. Van Wert 553. Jack Booz up for St. Mary's. Yeah, Joe was just talking about where the varsity lanes was prior to here, and it was downtown, and I think it was actually, there was also one in the building that Rich has, and there's a great podcast on the history of Fowler's TV with Rich Fowler, and he talks about when he was a young kid living in Salina that he was a pin setter. And I know my dad was a pin setter perhaps when he was a student at Ohio State in the early 50s. And yeah, times have changed a little bit. I think that'd be the last job I'd want.
Yeah, my dad actually told me about how the bowling alley used to be in the VFW building here in town.
Yeah.
And actually, that's where these machines came from.
Oh, really?
These machines were over there in that building at one point. They brought them over here. So they definitely have some age to them.
So those that are curious, if you do a YouTube search for St. Mary's 1961, there's an old film that was found, and it was basically a promo about St. Mary's, and they actually have footage of bowling at the location you were just talking about there, where the VFW is now. And then you can also see in some old downtown black and white photos, it would have been just to the east of where the theater building is where the Varsity Lanes location was. Sometimes it looks like when you take a look at that picture that Varsity Lane signs is right on the theater building, but it's just to the east of it. So We know that we've had 3 locations. But yeah, you take a look at that 61 film, you will see a little bit of footage of some bowling there back in the day. Alrighty, so the girls for St. Mary's at 750. Van Wert still rolling there at 818 right now. Do you find it occasionally or more than occasionally where the girls' scores are higher than the boys' scores?
Oh yeah, you'll get that, especially on these tougher shots. One thing that I have noticed is the girls are more attentive to detail and they're more consistent because they're more attentive to detail. So on a hard shot like this where it's less forgiving, they get into a better groove. They're used to hitting their mark more. Whereas the boys, I mean, you know, you let them rip as fast as some of these boys like Junior do, and it's not hard for it to skate past your break point and just keep on sliding.
Yep. Carter Monbeck with a big-time strike. And Junior Hurley now up in the 10th frame. Boys just getting started. That's a good way to start off the 10th frame right there.
Solid Brooklyn.
Ah, and I forgot to pay attention. Junior strike matched by Van Wert's lead off. Junior. Oh, got it. Crowd goes wild here at Varsity Lanes with that second strike by Junior. His opponent equalizes with a strike of his own. So this time it's not really a mechanical issue. It's a pin got out in front of the bar.
Yeah, here at St. Mary's you will see that every now and then. A pin will come up the gutter. It'll still lay on the lane. It gets past that rake before the rake's able to come down and scoop it away. Other places it does happen a lot more frequently because of the construction of the pins. So here we got wood core pins with synthetic cover stock. Other places, some of them have a synthetic core with a synthetic cover stock. It just gives it more bounce. So you'll see a lot more pin action. Pins go flying everywhere. It's a lot easier to carry because they'll bounce out the back too. Typically in the back of, like here at St. Mary's, we've got a thick rubber mat that kind of drapes down. And so when the pins hit it, they just kind of die and lay in the back of the pit. Other places, I'm not sure what they have back there, but whatever it is, they get a lot more bounce. Those pins, you'll see them shoot into the back and they'll bounce right back, take out other pins. So even a bad shot can carry pretty easily at some places.
Shannon will start his frame out with a strike. So he was in game one, and now I'm trying to think if Devin Shannon has been rolling the entire game two. Joe's just asked that question, and so we got to figure. So Jack substituted in for somebody. Or maybe not. Maybe Jack started and I just missed it.
Yeah, Jack started that second game there.
What about the first game?
I think the first game, he might have came in for a fill ball in the 10th frame, but that would have been it.
Shannon, the left-hander with the second. That hung too high, too long. See if he's got one pin or if he's got a sleeper behind it.
Looks like just one pin.
Just one pin, shaking a little bit. So the girls ended up not having enough to win the second one. But again, as Tyler has pointed out, total accumulation of points. Couldn't quite see what was happening there with Caden's roll. Nope. So did it fall? Here comes Andy. He's on step 30,215.
Yeah, they got to make a score correction. So that pin fell so late that the machine already registered it before it fell. So he's got to go up there and correct it.
So the girls' action has started of game one of the Baker. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Wow, so they're already, so the Bakers do go fast. They're already on frame 4.
Yeah, getting through 5 Bakers normally only takes, normally like about a half hour, 45 minutes. It goes pretty quick.
And we're just shy of 7 o'clock.
Oh, nice pickup, Chloe. It's always hard trying to cover those split pins there. You got the 4-5 or the 5-6, and you got that gap. I have seen it where the pin will shift over from the first ball, and I've seen somebody put the ball right between the 2 pins and miss it.
So now in Bakers, the teams are allowed to stand.
I think they tried to stop that some years ago, but the teams like to get up there and stand, and it's great to be up there and be able to support your teammates.
Yep.
And with you constantly changing and getting back up, it's...
On the boys' side, we've got Shinneberry, rides that edge just a little too much, finds gutter. Looks like the boys, maybe on bowler number 4. On the Baker side for the girls, Trisha marked. Ball 2 for Jonathan Perez Shinneberry. Picks up 8, and there's a strike on the Baker side for St. Mary's. Pick up for Van Wert. Carter Monbeck, the 5-man for Coach Scott Ross. First roll in the 10th. St. Mary's at 764. Van Wert done at 700. Strike for Carter. And again, they don't want to let off the gas just knowing that they beat them.
Right, you want to keep that pedal down.
As much separation as they possibly can get because this is a game of totality and coming up with the final score. Hooked a little too soon. Emily Pond shot. Carter Monbeck leaves the 10 pin. Now in the Baker scores, what are we looking for as a team here? 200 plus?
So on a normal day, if I'm Coach Ross, I'd like to see my team hit about 210, 220 on every Baker. That's a great day. If you're hitting 210, 220 on every Baker, you're doing great. Typically, the boys will average around 190, 195, and there's a pretty big spread there. I've seen them shoot 230 games, and I've seen them shoot $140 games when it comes to the Bakers. But I'd say it about holds true with what you'd expect your individual bowler to bowl in a regular game.
So the boys are done. They'll start their Baker here shortly. And for the boys, St. Mary's 8-12, game 2 to Van Wert 700. Good bit of separation there for St. Mary's. It's a good thing we've got our side cameraman, Ross Henson, down there to bring us some good shots at this juncture with standing.
So as I said earlier, it's the Baker games where a team can really come back from being down and out to come back and win the whole thing. And we see St. Mary's up right now about 45 pins and looking like it's growing a little bit more on that of a lead over them in this first Baker game. So if St. Mary's is able to make up, 45, 50 pins every Baker game, they can come back and take totals. Seems to be like they're down about 150, 200 pins, somewhere in there going into Bakers.
Yep, so if I was good, I would have marked down what each score was so that we could have figured out what the separation was right now. But I do have the boys scoring 12-700 for game 1. See if we'll have any lineup changes for the boys. So for the boys, it looks like we utilize 6 for Coach Scott Ross, Caden Ballwig, Jack Booz, Carter Montbat, Jonathan Perez Shinneberry, Devin Shannon, and Junior Hurley. Okay, Tyler, strategy with the lineup in a Baker. I think we saw, was Junior the leadoff and Carter the anchor and the traditional? And it looks like Caden may be leading off here for us.
Yeah, so typically you want your leadoff guy in the Baker games to be somebody that you have the most confidence in to go out right away and throw a strike or get a mark of some sort.
Which Caden just did.
Caden just obliterated those pins. And you always want the person you have the most confidence in clutch situations to be your anchor. Now some teams that'll rotate throughout the day or throughout week to week, and it can rotate throughout the day. If your anchor starts to throw a couple bad balls in a row, you might swap them around to a different position. When I was in high school, I was always a leadoff guy. No matter how the team did, I was always that first guy up there. I always felt comfortable enough to go up and throw a strike. And I think for 3 years, we always had Kevin Dammeier as our anchor. And we knew that Kevin could always come in clutch situations and help us get that W.
And this is a neat sport when you think about it, much like wrestling, tennis, golf, that it's an individual sport, meaning you're the only one out there when it's your turn up.
Yeah, you don't have a teammate that's right there to save you in that exact moment.
To bail you at that moment, right. However, your score contributes to the overall team score, and it therefore is a team event. That's a very interesting, fun sport to watch. And it looks like the girls have finished Baker game 1, 123 to 180. So the girls made up some serious points there. 57-point gain for them. Baker won. Jonathan Perez-Shinneberry. Ooh. Thought he was going to have the 4-7, 6-10 combo, but the 4 and the 7 fell late.
That 4-7, 6-10 is one of the trickiest splits to cover in this game. I've had many times that I'll leave it and I'll shoot at the 4-7 and I'll get that 4 to slide across and take out that 10, but for it to go all the way across the lane in a straight line to take out the 6-pin is difficult.
That would be a lot of fun to witness. More fun to actually do it. A lot of fun to witness.
The best chance to pick it up is to get a pin. For a lefty, it'd be to get that 4-pin to bounce off the right side of the pit out the back, hit the 10-pin from behind, and hit the 10 forward into the 6. But once again, at St. Mary's, with our style of pits, with the pins not bouncing as much, it's a difficult shot to make.
Devin leaving up the 9-pin.
So in those first traditional games, they rotated lanes every single frame. When it comes to Bakers, after each Baker game, they will rotate lanes.
Okay.
I don't know if you caught that or not.
I did not.
And that could make it tricky because if the other team's playing the same line as somebody, they can burn it up in a game and you're on in there being over 10 frames since you last thrown there and it could be a totally different shot for you. It's where it's nice to have a couple lefties on the team.
Yep.
Not burning up the same line all day.
So on the boys' side, looks like we have 4 frames in. St. Mary's sitting at 66. And Van Wert, they're sitting at 80, and they've had 3 strikes in a row. Monbeck with a strike for the Rough Riders. Van Wert's string of strikes ceases with that throw there.
That is a tough break for Van Wert boys.
Nice pickup for St. Mary's Lady Riders. Ball weight. Ho!
So we call that one the baby split.
So if I was straight balling, I'd try to put it right in between both of them and then watch it go in the gutter. So Caden is going to try to curve it on the left side of the left pin. He went right at him.
Yeah, typically on that spare, you want to throw all the way across the lane at him. It gives you the best angle, and you want to throw a straight ball because if he goes over to the left side of the lane and throws at it and throws a hook, he can get out there and it'll hook back in between the two. So if you close that angle down, there's no gap for that ball to go through.
Back to Junior Hurley on the boys' side. Baker game 1 for the boys, 94-92. Junior, he likes it, but the 10-pin stays. Van Wert got hot in the middle of this game, 3 consecutive strikes. Chloe steps up, hits half of the pins for her team. Junior for the 10-pin. Nails it. Chloe with an interesting second roll here. Takes out 4 of the 5. Jonathan Perez-Shinaberry, the left-hander. He's been riding that left edge quite a bit, stays in, picks up a couple. Trisha. Trisha finds them all. A lot of excitement out of the senior, Trisha Yale. The girls are in Baker game 2 of 5, standing 54-39, St. Mary's edge. Shinaberry with the pickup, big time pickup. For the boys, Devin Shannon, he's a lefty as well. Gets it to turn and gets them to all fall down. Devin Shannon. Boys sitting at 137 to Van Wert's 120. Cutter Monbeck for the boys team. Carter follows suit. All 10 down. So Tyler, something I just thought about in the Baker. So your anchor in the 10th, he can strike, correct? He's got 3 rolls.
Yep, that is correct. That's why you really want, every position's important in the Baker games. Obviously, you want a good leadoff guy to get things rolling for your team. You want your best guy in the 10th frame. That way he can go with those 3 strikes to finish it out. But you also need a good setup. You need 2 good setup guys for the 8th and the 9th. So if you can get your 8th and 9th frames of strikes, you can get 60 additional pins there in the last, or 30 additional compared to just getting a turkey there in the 10th. So it really is a game changer.
Carter to pick up the spare, and does. Lady Riders holding a slight edge on Baker 2, going into the 8th frame, 84-77. And again, the scoring, it is total pins that fall down all match long. They started rolling at 5 o'clock, and we are 7-13, 2 conventional games, 5 Baker games. Tyler's mentioned you can be down a couple hundred pins in the traditional games and make a big surge in the Baker format and come back and win. And you see the Bakers bring a different element, different strategy. Everybody's up. You bowl pretty quick here, and I like the 2 formats that get combined and see how the overall score gets computed.
Yeah, these Baker games really add a different team element to bowling.
And as we mentioned, the lineups can change from traditional games to the Baker games, and I think we've seen that with the boys. I can't say for certain on the girls' side how the lineup as far as who's bowling first through fifth.
Yeah, in the traditional games, really, it's not as important as to who's starting and who's finishing. It's good to have a good anchor finishing the game. If you are down only a couple pins, maybe they can come in clutch and strike out and put you up for that game, and totals too. But when it comes to the Bakers, it's really important. Definitely changes what the outcome of your score is.
The girls are getting ready to approach frame 10. Van Wert just rolled a 9 in frame 10. Trisha Yale, I believe, for Coach Jay Gibson. Trisha leaves a big split of a
6-7-10.
6-7-10. Tyler could see the steam coming out of my ears trying to compute that. Standing at 122, 119 on the girls' frame 10 of Baker 2. See what spectacular things Trisha can do with this split. 6-7-10. Leaves her open.
Caden Ball with a big strike to start that second Baker.
Just as he did with the first Baker, he's marking with a strike.
That's the kind of bowler you need to start you off in Bakers. Get things on the right path and get the team excited.
Alrighty, St. Mary's finishes with a 119. The Lady Riders do, and Van Wert with a 130 and one more ball to roll, I believe. So Van Wert has the capability of extending some points on the Lady Riders.
Actually, that game's over. They won by 11
They did.
pins. Yeah, Van Wert picked 11 pins back up.
So Van Wert 130, St. Mary's 119. They've got 2 Baker games in the books. I hope you put a pizza order in.
So if you notice, there's a big swing there between their first and their second game. They went from a $180 on the first Baker down to a 119. And that typically happens a lot more than you would think. And it's because they have spent so long on the other lane that coming back and trying to readjust to what the other team did to that lane. Sometimes you can pick up on it, and sometimes it's a little difficult.
And that's a good start for the Lady Riders. Baker game 3 with a strike. Van Wert doing a nice job on lane 8 there. Lady Riders following up. Going to have a little bit of a split there, 7-9.
Looks like the 5-7 split there.
5-7's what I meant. Baker game 2. Baker game 2 for the boys. Baker game 3 for the girls. Shannon with a big time strike on lane 10. Anchor for St. Mary's boys, Carter Monbeck. Lane 10, Carter with a strike as well. Took it a little too quickly. Poor Emily. Then Wert's roller. Leaves them all up on the second ball. Caden got another strike, I believe. St. Mary's must have put 3 strikes in a row. They have 4, 5, and 6 frame marked up there with strikes. Junior Hurley. Junior punishes those 10 frames, 10 pins. The boys are looking very strong right now in this Baker game. Currently, the boys are 7 frames into Baker 2 at 126. The Van Wert boys are in frame 6, sitting at 40. Trisha with the pickup and does it. Good senior leadership out of Trisha. Earlier today they had the senior recognition. Junior Hurley, Devin Shannon, Carter Monbeck, Jonathan Perez-Shinneberry, Brandon Miller, Zach Stevo, Lily Steinberg, Trisha Yale, Kirsten Brotherwood, Caitlin Shrema, all seniors recognized tonight. Trying to bring home a couple victories against the Van Wert Cougars in this dual WBL match here from Varsity Lanes. Again, thanks to Ross Enchen for running the camera for us, Joe Hurlbert, Rich Spencer. I'm Doug Spencer alongside me, Tyler Parent. We spent the last 2 hours plus talking about the sport of bowling and the nuances of it, the rules of it. And it's been quite an enjoyable time, and see how this contest all pans out. By the time 2 traditional games are rolled and 5 Baker games. We're presently in the Baker game set. The girls are in Baker game 3. The boys finishing up Baker game 2. And Tyler, at any point, a substitution could be made if somebody's not rolling to the expectations of the respective coaches. They've got to finish out that game, and then you can sub back in for them in the next Baker game?
Yeah, that is correct. The one thing is they can't sub in the middle of a frame. Whoever started the frame has to cover their spare.
Is there ever an injury in bowling? And the reason I ask that question is that's probably the only permissible time that you could.
No, you would actually have to mark it as a 0. If that
mark
bowler,
it as a 0. Okay.
They cannot throw a ball down the lane. You'd have to mark that as a 0. I can't say I've ever seen an injury in the middle of a frame. There are injuries in the middle of a match, so you throw enough balls, especially early in the season, your thumb's not really conditioned to it, and you'll get real bad blisters, and those blisters bust open. And I've seen them where it's dripping blood out, and you got blood everywhere on your equipment, and they got to take some time to get patched up and get back in there.
Right on the boys' side. Carter Monbeck finishing things up. Boy, the boys really exploded on this second Baker game. Standing at 181 right now with Carter's roll. The Van Wert Cougars in the ninth at 108. Carter picked up his spare. .182, and that's kind of about what you said. 185-ish is what they would kind of be rolling.
Yeah, if they're shooting 185 on a night like this, they're going to be in good shape.
And the girls are Baker game 3 in the ninth frame. St. Mary's at 108, Van Wert at 96, 112. Chloe Gibson rolling for the Lady Riders. Chloe. She picks it up. Good mark for Chloe Gibson. Baker game 2 for the boys in the books. So they switch sides. Baker game 3 for the girls, almost in the books. Trisha Yale. So Joe is asking the question, what's the chances of St. Mary's getting back to state and how they could fare out there if they can make it?
So from what I've seen, we've got 2 really good teams again this year. I'm not sure how the rest of the league's looking, but getting back to state, I could see them, both boys and girls, making it again. How they compete at state, I'm not sure. There's some really good teams out there throughout the state. Obviously, Coldwater and Walpock are 2 of the top programs in the state. But Troy normally brings tough competition every year.
How many teams make it to state? Let's talk about that format as we're doing the Baker games right now.
So I believe they bring 32 teams to state, and then out of those 32 teams, they'll cut to the top 8. And those top 8 teams will bowl head-to-head in the best of 5 Baker matches.
So to win the actual title, it's all Baker.
It's all Baker for the title.
So they'll do this format to take 32 down to 8. Do I have that correct?
You'll bowl 3 regular games.
3 regular.
And then you'll bowl 6 Baker games. And then they'll figure out total pinfall and get everybody placed in their position. Then they'll take those top 8 teams and put them head-to-head. And they funnel it down just like a typical bracket then. It's best of 5 on the Bakers, and it can be a very long day.
Wow.
I mean, you could have 26 Baker games and 3 regular games by the time the day's done.
I'm tired after 1 game. Looks like the girls 146 to Van Wert girls 141 at the conclusion of the 3rd Baker game. If I'm reading the monitor correctly, Tyler, it looks like Caden did his magic again.
Yep, he led the team off with another strike. Boys are sitting at 2 in a row and a 9 count by Paresh Shinneberry.
So yeah, in baseball, you want your leadoff batter getting on base no matter what and getting things started. And Caden Ballwig has just solidly performed in the Bakers with strikes each time he's stepped up to start things off.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where your leadoff guy and your anchor guy, ideally they'd be interchangeable. You know, you're expecting them both to go up there and throw a strike every time. And Caden and Carter have done a great job at doing just that. They're getting up there, they're throwing a lot of strikes for the team.
Here's the chance at the pickup, and Jonathan does pick that up. On the girls' side, each team getting instructions from their respective coaches. Looks like Carl Danmeyer's come in to give a little bit of extra advice and encouragement to the Lady Riders. Left about 4 on lane 8. Carter from lane 9. Leaves 3 standing. So Baker game 4 for the girls, Baker game 3 for the boys. Carter from the anchor slot. 5th frame, leaves it open, has 9. See what Caden Borwe can get going for the boys in frame 6. He leaves the 6-10 pin up. Here comes Lady Riders, lane 7. Lane 8, excuse me. 6-10, left up again. Here comes Caden. Caden goes right at it and takes the 10 pin out. 6 still standing. So Tyler, in a Baker game, you probably don't want 2 consecutive open frames there.
No, you do not. That really puts a damper on that game. So we always figured it was that for every open you have, it takes a turkey to make up for it to get back on track to where you should be. Now, once, if you get 2 opens and once you get that turkey, it's just an additional strike for every open after that.
Okay.
So you can get 4 in a row for 2 opens, 5 in a row for 3 opens, so on and so forth.
And Junior's trying to get things started with that turkey approach. As he gets the strike, gets pretty fired up. On the girls' side, 4th frame, Van Wert's at 56, St. Mary's 25. 3 open frames for St. Mary's. Chloe's sitting with 9 down. I can't tell which pin's still standing.
Jonathan Perez-Shinneberry with a strike to double up for the Riders.
We'll see whether or not the prescription from Tyler is going to be filled out. Devin Shannon had 2 open frames. Now we're sitting at 2 strikes. Shannon. Looks like the 9 stood. Looks like the 6 stood. Now St. Mary's did make up some ground there. I'm not really paying too much attention to what Van Wert's been doing. Van Wert is in their 10th frame, sitting at 127. St. Mary's just finished up the 9th, sitting at 152. So really, with those 2 open frames, they, depending upon what Carter can do here, could still put a respectable score back up on the board.
Yeah, if he manages to strike out there, he's right up there at a 182, which is about what you would hope out of the team.
Yep.
But those Van Wert boys, they doubled up there in the 8th and 9th, and that really allows them to come back big in the 10th.
And spare for Van Wert. Here comes Carter. 5th frame for Carter was open. Just stayed out a little too long, didn't turn in the pocket that he wanted, and 3 pins still standing. On the girls' side, in the 7th frame, Van Wert sitting at 109. St. Mary's sitting at 60. That's Baker game 4 for the girls. The end of Baker game 3 for St. Mary's. Prior to Carter rolling, gets an adjustment from Coach Scott Ross. He's got 3 pins to pick up. He rolls. And he does it. Nice roll by Carter Monbeck. Nice adjustment from Coach Scott Ross. He just wanting to slide over a little bit to get the correct angle for the oddball combination there.
Well, I think Scott saw him throw a couple balls that were just a little bit outside, so he wanted them to slide in a little bit more, get into where there's less oil. That way it does have that time to work up and into where he needs it. That was a great adjustment. Great eye by Coach Ross there.
All right, the last roll for Baker game 3 for the boys. St. Mary's sitting at 162. Gets it to turn and gets it to strike. I couldn't tell if that was a Brooklyn strike or not.
Oh yeah, that was an explosive Brooklyn.
An explosive Brooklyn strike, Joe. .172 to 163 for Baker game 3 for the boys. And that was a good comeback for the boys as they left 2 open frames. Could have spelled doom for them, but they did a nice job coming back. We're at the girls' Baker game 4, Van Wert 129 as they're going into the 10th frame. St. Mary's in the 8th. They're sitting at 90, getting ready to go into the 9th frame. Gibson for the Lady Riders. Rolls, gets blocked. Got a lot of bowling going on here, and tough to get some camera angles at this part of the contest. Got leagues going on, got a exciting high school bowling match. A lot of activity here at Varsity Lanes.
Yeah, it seems like the girls just can't quite find their rhythm there on lane 8. Their 2 Baker games on lane 7 were significantly improved from what they've been able to do on lane 8, and that's kind of the problem. Luckily for them, they're going to finish on their good lane. They started on their good lane. They get an extra game over there, but we'll see if it's enough to make a comeback here this late in the match.
Left that one open. Didn't see it, but Herb Jr., I'm guessing that was probably a pretty good roll on his part. And forgot to watch for Caden again.
It looks like he had a split there to start that game.
So it looks like, yep, he had an open. Trisha. Yeah! Nice roll by Trisha. Jonathan Perez-Shenaberry gets a nice strike as well. 2 in a row for the boys in Baker game 4. And the girls are ending Baker game 4. Trisha takes down 9 pins. Sitting at 126 for Baker game 4. Who Devin leaves open. I'm going to go with he probably had the 4-7, and he hit the 4.
Looks like he had the 2-7.
The 2-7 is what I meant, and hit the 2.
Yep. It's a nice looking ball by Carter.
I like when that happens because I don't have to guess. Good strike by Carter Monbeck. All right, Lady Riders have 4 Baker games in the book. Lady Riders have 4 Baker games in the books. Starting number 5, we don't have a running tally, which that'll be something if we do this again to make certain that we do have somebody jotting down the scores for us, see exactly where we are.
Back when we were in high school, we had one parent sitting in the stands at all times with the clipboard and the stat sheet. They'd mark every single player's frame that they threw, what pins they left, and we'd keep track of all those stats and keep track of spare percentage, strike percentage, single pin coverage, and really helped us learn what we needed to work on.
probably some type of app for that now.
Well, there's quite a few of them out there, actually.
All right, St. Mary starts off with Lil Steinberg, I believe, and she is able to mark that first frame to get things started for the Lady Riders in the 5th and final Baker game. Junior Hurley trying to pick it up on lane 10, frame 7, and he does. A lot of pins left on lane 7. Jonathan Perez Shedberry. I believe maybe the 7 pin might be up. Can't see for Jonathan. Tyler, have they always rolled the boys and the girls together, or was there a time where they were separate?
So back when I was in high school, it was every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock they'd have one shift, and at 1 o'clock they'd have another shift. And they'd always have the boys and the girls rotate each year who was on what shift. But they'd always bowl at the same facility, and then they'd have varsity at one place and JV would be at another place each week. So they'd bowl at the same place, but they were never bowling side by side. So it's nice to be able to have them all here.
Yep.
And, you know, the boys can support the girls and vice versa, and you know, having the JV teams around, and they can finish watching the matches. It's different aspect.
Devin Shannon. Leak that one out way left. So see how Shannon responds after that first roll. Picks up about 7, leaves an open frame in the 9th. Gonna present Carter Mondeck as the anchor to finish things out for game 4 in this Baker format. Mondeck hits them all. Second ball for Mondeck.
Another no-doubter.
Nice work by St. Mary's' anchor as Chloe's able to pick up that spare on lane 7. Trisha with the strike. Mondeck. He's got 2 strikes in frame 10. And finishes with 3 left up. Nice 10th frame for Carter Mondeck. St. Mary's 156 to Van Wert still rolling at 102. Steinberg, I believe. Nice work. What was that combo there?
Looked to me like the 2-7-10 from my angle.
That's what I would have gone with as well, Tyler. The 2-7-10 picked up very, very nicely. That's got to give you a lot of excitement picking something up like that.
Gives you a lot of confidence as a bowler too. You can be struggling all day and you cover a shot like that and you feel locked in after that.
Got the 7-pin standing on lane 7 for the Lady Riders. And on the boys' side, they are getting ready to start their 5th and final Baker's match. Again, it's an accumulation of all the games that have been played, the 5 Baker games plus the 2 traditional games to determine the victor of tonight's contest. Lane 7 trying to pick up the 7-pin and just going to be a little too high. Caden starts things off back how he did the first couple games in the Baker format with a strike. Equally matched by his counterpart from Van Wert. Junior ready to get that ball down there in a hurry. Lane 9. He gets it to turn, leaves 1 pin. Lane 10 is acting up. It has been performing pretty well for a little while, but here comes Mr. Coleman to, looks like the, what's it called, the rake? I think I called it the gate.
Yep, the rake.
The rake. It's got stuck. And it is unstuck. Junior picks up his spare. I believe Emily Pond on lane 7. Nice ball.
Strike. Allie
that wasn't
Speckman.
Emily.
Allie Speckman.
Allie Speckman. Ben Perez looks like he
buried one for a strike.
Buried one too, yes. Now at State, do they have any type of monitor showing what the total score is as the game's evolving?
Yeah, so similar to how we have the TVs between the pairs of monitors, they'll have TVs up there. And they'll pop up the standings of who's in what position and how many pins they have. So you can kind of, you're all the way down at the end, but you can keep track of how all the other teams are doing. And throughout the day, they print out sheets that you can take back and sit and write scores down on it.
So St. Mary's has been down there a decent amount and come back with hardware 4 times, 2 for the boys, 2 for the girls. And in 2019, both the boys and the girls were able to win the state. And then obviously no state champion in 2020 because everything got shut down.
I'm not honestly sure. I don't think they pulled a state tournament this past year.
That'd be because they probably State championships are probably in March.
Normally they finish up in March, yes.
So my guess would be that plug probably got pulled before there was a state. Purely a guess.
I know we shut down leagues the third week of March last year. And normally they bowl the high school state tournament about the first or second week of March.
Okay. So perhaps there was a state tournament. Monbeck trying to pick up a little bit of everything here.
They did cancel the men's state tournament starting in March, so I wouldn't be shocked if they canceled the high school tournaments around then too.
I'm trying to think in basketball, we got maybe the sectionals played, and maybe it was just the start of the regionals, which would have been nice strike again by Caden Ballwig. Trying to think, it was probably the tail end of the districts or the beginning of the regionals, so that would have been second week of March probably. On the girls' side, Van Wert 170 with perhaps one roll left. Here comes Junior. On the boys' side, gets some extra help, leaves one standing yet. Looks like the girls may be done. So we'll wait to see what the final scores were for the girls. Junior trying to pick up the lone standing pin on lane 9.
Not sure what the pin total was on the night for the girls, but I know the Lady Riders did fall to the Cougars.
See whether or not they were able to close that gap coming out of the traditional games with some play in the Baker games.
I think our boys were able to hold on to the lead all night, and looks like they're going to close out with win tonight.
That would be my assumption, which this has been a broadcast for me of nothing but assumptions, and I appreciate you being alongside me here, Tyler, and helping educate me and those who know little about the game.
Hey, thanks for having me out.
Yeah. Jonathan Perez-Shinneberry pulls out a strike on lane 9. The boys are in the 9th frame, I believe. Jack Boo's up. And Jack gets a strike. Looks like Van Wert put together a nice 5th Baker game here.
Yeah, they had a nice string of strikes going there.
Carter to finish things off for the boys. Puts it right in the pocket where he wants it. Nice strike for Carter Monbeck. Equalized by the Van Wert bowler with his strike. Carter for roll number 2. Carter leaves one up.
So it looks like the St. Mary's girls fell 21-98 to 23-46 to the Van Wert Cougars.
Taking a look at total individual scores. St. Mary's Lily Steinberg 323 in the 2 traditional games. Ella Cable 326, Emily Pond 303, Chloe Gibson 277. You have to help me out with that one. So we had a stub, okay.
Yep,
so Tricia 121 in the first game, Allison Speckman a 134 in the second game. Learn a little bit every day about this this game here. Not every day, every minute about this game. So 21.98 the total for St. Mary's, 23.46 the total for Van Wert. On the girls' side, Carter finishes up. The boys 191 on the 5th Baker game, and the Van Wert Cougars 195 on the 5th Baker game for them. Don't know the totals, but I think Tyler and I had the same assumption that St. Mary's bowled pretty strong with the 2 regular games and held on for the 5 Baker games to more than likely win this WBL contest. Well, we'll just go with that assumption that they won. We don't have the numbers, and thanks to all of our sponsors who help us be able to bring things like this. It's been fun. Check the time. 3 hours. 3-hour broadcast, and it'll be on tape delay, and we'll see whether or not we can do this again, and maybe like to do that Walpock match if possible, and we'll go from there. Hopefully you've learned a lot. I have, from Tyler Parent, and if you ever want to just come out and roll, Varsity Lanes in St. Mary's, talk to Jay and get started in this game. For Tyler Parent, thank you very much for everything that you've done in the last 3 hours for us, Tyler.
Hey, thanks for having me, Doug.
And I'm Doug Spencer, and for Ross Hench and Rich Spencer and Joe Hurlbert, have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching another episode of Rider Nation Station. Help us help you by subscribing on YouTube or following us on Facebook.